you are the vessel that is carrying that thing. You're the only vessel. You're the only thing that has that thing. You understand?
I absolutely
Like you're the
understand.
only, like you don't have my dreams in you. I have my dreams in me.
Yeah.
You're not carrying my dreams, you're carrying yours.
You need to be responsible for the consequences, and you need to be like willing to live with these consequences.
Exactly.
Here is a call to be our genuine selves. Well, in the Bible, in 1 Peter 4, verse 10, we are urged to use whatever gift we have received to serve others. This is undeniably the best way to live a life of purpose, where we create opportunities not only for us, but for others. Through inspiring conversations on Successful Day podcast, we dive into the broad spectrum of emotional intelligence with amazing guests who choose on their daily lives to make the most out of their gifts. Why? Because we were born to create something bigger than ourselves. You and I shall get out there, reminded to be our genuine selves and continue to make a positive impact on our world. Well, let's get started! Yes! Hello, dear amazing you, listening to or watching the Daily Peace Powered podcast named Successful Day. I am delighted to be here with an amazing guest. Actually, when I first met my guest today, I didn't know she was an innovator in my favorite SDG ever. So SDG is for Sustainable Development Goal, and my favorite is the SDG 4 about education, because actually Doreen is an education activist at heart. She strives to ensure more kids in Africa have access to quality education. She is a Pan-African leader and social entrepreneur with incredible wealth of experience innovating and scaling EdTech solutions. In fact, her role as Chief Business Officer was crucial to Africa's leading edutainment company, Ubongo's growth and impact in Africa, reaching out over 25 million children in 41 countries. She received a lot of recognition and awards. I will name the Entrepreneur of the Year in Education by Women in Africa Initiative, and she pitched Ubongo and won Next Billion EdTech Prize in 2019. Well, now she is taking a break from it all, transitioning into a new adventure. And that's why today I'm inviting here Doreen Kessy to talk about her break, her adventure, or how she envisions identity, work, and everything around that. Life. Well, Doreen, welcome right here.
Thank you so much, Day. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I am really happy. So, as I was saying, the first time that I met you, I remember we were at Bushman Cafe, and I was so excited when my friends, Anna, who introduced us, was like, okay, well, I have this friend and she's on a sabbatical, and I was excited about the idea. You know, I feel like sabbatical is something. I mean, I enjoy experience and adventure in life, and I feel like it's an adventure, and I want you to talk a little about, like, why a sabbatical? Please tell us.
Oh, yeah, thank you. So I'm generally a very passionate person. I'm very purpose-driven. When I'm working, I go all in. I go all in. I love working. I enjoy working, and I only work on meaningful things, like meaningful work. And I think I've been fortunate enough to have to have the opportunity to do very meaningful work. So my work in education, working with children, has been very meaningful to me. It's been very impactful, and I've derived a lot of value from it, but also I think it's been a great way for me to make a contribution in the world, especially to children and their families. And so, I'm someone who has worked I would say my entire adulthood. I started my first job when I was 17 years old. And since then I've always worked one job or two. Throughout college I had to work at least 2 jobs, go to school and still take care of my siblings. And then after school I joined Ubongo when it was just getting started. It was 6 months old. That was quite a lot, I think, because I started very early. And I've always loved it. I've always enjoyed it. It's been really a great time of my life, joining a fast-growing startup, a company that is growing very fast with a lot of, with a huge impact in Africa. We started out in Tanzania, but then it grew across Africa. So that was interesting to see how it went from 5, 6, 7 people to now over 50 people. And now we are Bongo is in multiple countries in Africa. It's quite exciting. But I think, after working for 8 years, I just felt like it was time to take a step back. And I knew it was time to take a step back, and just okay, think about what is the next thing I want to do. Because once you've stayed in a place for that long, you begin to, it's like you feel like, well, I've learned a lot, still growing quite a lot, but you feel like you've learned a lot here. What else is there to learn? And so I felt like I was ready for a new challenge.
Because you were saturating, or how will you express it? Because you say also that you knew it was time to take a break.
Yeah, I think it was just for me personally, I felt like, well, I had looked at the education problem from this angle and from this perspective of, we are, just to tell you a little bit about Ubongo, Ubongo basically creates edutainment content for kids. So edutainment is educational entertainment. So think of cartoons, educational cartoons though, that teach kids math and science, early literacy, numeracy, like how to count letters. And then we broadcast on TV, also on radio. So we use songs and stories to share with kids about, about math and science and stuff. And then, so we distribute the content across Africa. And so that was fun because my role was very diverse. I was chief business officer, so I mainly was leading our efforts on distribution of that content across Africa, adaptation of it into different African languages, and really getting it out there and seeing how we can do that sustainably while making money. And so I think, that gave me the opportunity to look at the problem, the education crisis in Africa, and say, okay, we can solve it through audio-visual content, we can solve it through edutainment content, we can reach kids in rural areas with this content, right? But then there are so many other ways to solve this problem, to contribute in education. And so I think I just became more curious about that. And what else do I want to do? I'm very diverse. I'm just not one person. I am passionate about education, but I'm also passionate about a lot of other things and other problems also. So I wanted to be open to other opportunities. And actually an opportunity came with another global organization, which was actually more investing in teachers and training, and getting high quality teachers into schools. And so I took that role, but after being there for just a few months, I just felt like it was not a good fit for me. And so I knew okay, I'd already felt like it was just time to step back, not time to take something new, but I kind of dismissed my intuition and went for the opportunity that had become ready, and I felt like I was given a second chance to say, okay, now it's time for you to really take a step back and like think about what you really, really want to do. And so I think now I've come to that place, because after I left that opportunity, I just, thought, okay, this is a second chance for me. Let me travel, let me rest, also because it was a lot of hard work. Let me rest, let me travel, let me explore new things. I'm here in Abidjan. It was just like something that a thought just came to me one day. I was like, why don't I just go to Abidjan and learn French?
Okay. Why Abidjan then?
It just came to me, like it
You've
was
been
just
there before?
No, I've never been to Abidjan.
But you've heard that Abidjan est le plus doux au monde.
Oui, I've heard that Abidjan est joli.
Okay.
And I felt like, I just wanted to explore more. I've traveled across Africa, around the world.
Yeah.
But I'd never been to Abidjan. I've been to Senegal, and I felt like, well, why not?
Yeah.
It would be a nice experience. It would be a new place, and I think it would evoke new ideas.
Yes. I am thinking about something. Like, at some point, did you feel like a failure or a mistake? When the idea came and you are in front of you realizing that you want to take a break, how do you experience that? Do you feel like, well, it's the best decision ever? Or do you feel like questioning? I know that you told us that you had this opportunity of work and you realized at some point that what your whole self was willing or was calling for was not changing job or something, but it was a break, stepping back, as you said. But how do we, I can be in my everyday life, girl. I want to take a break and go to Thailand and volunteer. And I'm like, okay, are you very realistic about, you talked about taking care of your siblings at some point. So with these realities, how does it felt, and where do you find the strength to like believe yourself, validating what is coming?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's a good question because, I'd been working, like I said, my whole life. I've never taken a break this long. I have, in fact, even when I moved jobs, it was always a job after job. Like, it was not like I have a job and then I have like time to chill, and then no, it was always like, you end this job this week, you start the new one next week. So I never had a break, even through school, it was always like that. And so what I first realized when it came to like, now you need to take a break, was first, I don't know how to take a break.
Because you were a workaholic.
It's like,
also,
yeah, you're so used to a specific routine, and you're so used to working that you don't know how to rest. And when you are trying to rest, you feel like, yeah, you're stupid maybe. You feel a little bit like, am I a failure? Am I lazy? Why am I not doing something? Like, you just feel like your calendar needs to be fully booked. You need to be so busy, like you are used to being busy. So your body, your mind is just so used to the hustle and bustle that you just don't know how to chill. So I had like a learning curve to like, okay, now I really need to slow down, because I found myself like, even though I'm resting, but I would go into my calendar on Sunday and plan my week. Even though I'm on a sabbatical, right? I'll be like, yeah, 9 a.m. I'm working out. 10, I'm putting this in a calendar, breakfast. And then I'm going to like I'm literally trying to have like a work schedule of some
to feel
sort.
like you're not lazy.
Yeah, like I'm not lazy. I have a plan, at this hour I'm going to be reading. At this hour I'm going to be making a phone call. Like it's like it's an addiction. It's an addiction because there's a certain kind of life that I was used to. And so I found that like the first thing I had to work on is my mindset. My mindset around rest and what that means to me. And I had to work around like some lies maybe I had told myself, like rest is laziness. You need to go. Otherwise you're gonna fail. Like you need to just always have something going on. And I just had to start to invite days that were just like, well, today I'm going to wake up, work out, eat, and rest and take a nap. And that's fine. It doesn't mean I'm useless. It doesn't mean I am worthless. It just means I'm resting. And so to really come to that understanding and like really work on that thinking of like, rest is not a bad thing, rest is a good thing. So that was a couple of months of just like working that out. And I think, like you were saying, like it makes you think a lot about how you perceive work and then how you perceive yourself in relationship to work. I think I had always been very aware of like how we can use work to define ourselves and our self-worth, that if I am, because I'm working and I have this job, therefore I'm worth more, and if I don't, then I am worth less. And I'd always been very like aware of this deception, and I felt like, well, I kind of worked that out, and like I'm really I'm not thinking that way. But even after leaving my job, I just felt like, no, there was still some remnants of this kind of thinking that if I am not working right now, somehow I'm worthless. And so even during the sabbatical, as I just began it, I was like, I'm going to start a company. I'm going to start a company. It's going to be a new company. And I was busy working on that. So when the idea of like coming to Abidjan came, it was like, how am I going to leave my company? I'm building a company right now to go rest in Abidjan to learn French. Am I like, what? This is crazy. Because I felt like the idea just came from nowhere, and it came with so much peace and clarity that it was the right decision for me at this time. And I felt like, oh, that means more rest though. And I'm not trying to rest, I'm trying to build another company. And it was just like, no, just go to Abidjan. Like, you need to be there, meet new people, have new experiences. And so I would say that when this idea of Abidjan came, it also came with some of these questions. Does this mean I'm giving up on my business idea to come to Abidjan? Like, am I a failure? Am I giving up?
Yeah.
Because this means more rest. Do I really need more rest, or do I need to go back to being busy? And now?
And so how did you get to overcome those kind of thinking? Were you able to reconcile with your authenticity of defining yourself out of your work, out of your role, out of Doreen from Ubongo?
Yeah. And I would say, like, I'm someone who is very, I would say I'm very, God is fundamental to me. Like, my relationship with God is very important to me. And so a lot of decisions that I make them with God. Like, He guides me and leads me. And so that is always the place I go. Like, so what is God saying about this? What is His opinion on what I want to do? Is He saying yes? Is He saying no? Does this make sense to Him? And is this something that He approves? And I think when I got a yes, like, I really felt so much peace, and God was like, sure, go, I've ordered your steps. I felt like, oh wow, yeah, I mean, it makes no sense business-wise. It makes no sense to my family. Like, my family is still wondering, what is going on? What are you doing in Abidjan? They keep saying you're in Abuja. I'm like, no, I'm in Abidjan. I'm not in Nigeria, I'm in Abidjan. But it's like, why would you leave a business that you've started to go to Abidjan to learn French and to rest some more? Like, are you not serious about your life, right? But I think I always go back to, like, no, if God is guiding me onto this path, then I'm going to take it even if nobody else gets it. Like, the world does not have to get it. I need to get it. Like, if I understand and I feel like I have clarity, and a guidance from God about something, I'm gonna do it even if everybody else thinks it does not make sense.
I love it. I love it. But I want us to go deeper in the clarity and the peace. And because, I mean, I pray and sometimes I feel like, God, I want to hear your yes. And I feel like, no, I'm not hearing any yes. And I'm like,
Yeah.
do I need to take this path? What do I do if I fail? Because sometimes, okay, well, maybe you have that conviction and you decide not to trust because of the fears. So
Yeah, I feel like when I felt like God was telling me to come here. And I said, obviously this is a crazy idea, and I'm gonna share it with my mother, and she's gonna say no. Like, she will say no, and then I will try to believe her, and then I won't go. And I called my mom and I said, I'm going to Abidjan next month. And she said, oh, that sounds like a great idea. I said, I'm calling you so you can say it's a bad idea so that I don't do it.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I think it's good, Doreen.
Yeah.
So I felt like, oh wow, if she thinks it's a good idea, I really think there's more here. And I think, when you are doubting, like, listen, I don't even know what I want to eat for dinner tonight. I'm not sure whether I want fish or chicken. I am not sure. But I feel like when it's God speaking to you, you will have so much peace, even if it's so big. And this is how this came. Like, I was ready to buy a flight ticket to Abidjan in 10 minutes. Because I just felt like in 10 minutes after the idea came to my mind, like, go to Abidjan. And I was like, what? But I was like, I have so much peace about this. And I literally just texted Anna, the friend who connected us, to say, do you still live in Abidjan? And she said, yeah, I do. I was like, I think I want to come there next month. And that's how I ended up here. And she really helped me organize everything, like the logistics of me getting here. And I just feel like that is how God works, really. Like, when He orders your steps, when He tells you to do something, He makes it possible as well.
Yeah.
So it came with so much peace, but also clarity and provision.
Okay, so it's like trusting the peace.
Oui.
Trusting the peace. And you need to be in a place where you can allow yourself to trust the peace.
Yeah, peace, and it's like it comes without confusion.
Okay.
It just comes with peace and clarity. It will be like, wow, this is such a big decision, but it's still such a peaceful, there's such a provision of peace in your mind and in your heart that it's the right thing to do.
And you told me something about when we're talking here about trusting peace and trust, being in this place of trust, you mentioned something like rest is trust. How would you show this? Like, how? What does it mean? How? What God teaches us about trust?
Yeah.
About rest.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's quite interesting how the Bible talks about the story of God creating the world. Like, on the first day He did this and that. On the second day He did that and that. And then He created all these things and then He rested. I mean, think about it. A whole God, like the King of Kings, rests. Like, He took a day to rest. And when you think about it, I think we as human beings, we try to just do everything, a lot. We are so busy, we are so occupied, there's so much going on, and we want to do it all, and we want to do it all now. And there's rarely room for rest. And I think a lot of times it's also because we don't trust that actually there's a supernatural power that enables us to be who we are.
Yes.
We actually don't trust that God can help us and that God helps us. We trust that my hard work is what's going to make things possible. And this is something that God has really been talking to me about, because I'm quite hardworking. When I'm working, I put my mind into whatever it is. My heart, like you would, my mind, my heart and soul, like I would put it there, right? And I've always been like, yeah, I'm gonna design the life I want, which is true. You can design the life that you want, but I think to a large extent I've relied on my self-effort more than I've relied on God. And God has been saying to me, I want you to understand that while you are hardworking and intelligent and all of that, I make it possible. I make it possible for you. The results that you are getting are not just because of your hard work. It's because of grace. It's because my power is behind you, enabling for everything to happen. And it's so true, because I mean, a lot of things in my life have happened that I'm just like, no, that did not happen because I was just smart or educated. That happened because I was at the right place at the right time. And who could have made that possible? God.
Yeah.
And so I really think that resting, taking time to rest, is actually the actionable thing you can do to say, I trust in God. Yes, faith without works is dead. Like I have to work,
Yes.
but I also have to trust that God enables. You cannot give what you don't have. So I'm a big believer in, you have to you have to pour into yourself first so that you can pour into others.
How then do you commit every day to be the Doreen that you know you are? Like deep in you, maybe you want to share who this Doreen is. Like we've heard Doreen teaching and winning awards and TED's talking, and so, but who is Doreen that you know, and how do you commit every day to be Doreen?